Alright guys, got a little bit of an update for you. Not much. Turned around, got to cleaning up the gas tank, got that all wire wheeled and cleaned up and soaked with a rust inhibitor and all that other stuff, and got it looking nice again. Capped off all the other return and emissions stuff from the original sender and all that. Got to keep the sender. Need to know how much gas I got, of course. Then turned around and shot some fuel line down to the back, and been cleaning up a little bit of wiring. Finally got it looking nice. Things tucked away the way I wanted it. Turned around, got some of the wiring already soldered up. I can actually get starter signal to the thing now. Cleaned up my fuse relay. Everything I have actually runs right down into here for power, if you can see it. Everything's soldered and connected. Still got a few things to go that need to be passed into the inside, and still got my what is that, fuel pump wire. Might find a pin out on the block here, open the loom back up and go to a heavier gauge wire. That's a little light for my liking. Still got to take and shoot the tack wire inside. Got things like the data, serial data. Got the VSS signals yet to go in. Backup lamps from the Prendle switch. And this is original charging line. I haven't made up my mind whether I'm just going to pull the idiot light or if I'm actually going to hook that on up and keep it to where it's working. Still waiting on V-band clamps to come in. Looking for the self-aligning ones, so I'm also waiting on my black 2-inch header wrap so I can wrap this whole system up. The log, I've actually started working on that a little bit for the other side. Been a little lazy. Haven't felt good. Plus, I've helped Rolo out with his car. Got him up and going with his new gauges, and so give you a shot at what I'm doing with this exhaust manifold. Just a cheap way to go for it for now. Later on, I want to buy the up and forward, tube headers. Have some made maybe. All I got left to do is right here at this spot. You take and cut out a 2.5 inch bevel, and it'll take and weld the pipe on over. Bring it all the way back. Works good for a quick little turbo log. It's in rough state right now, but should work for the passenger side. There's not much for Buick Regal as far as LS headers. Did start out with the trunk and all that stuff as far as the mounting the battery. I decided I'm going to put it in the back. For some reason, this thing's not focusing. There we go. Battery box. Going to find some grommets and all that stuff to put for those holes. Running them all the way up forward. Took and found out this car has, everyone knows, the cars, pretty much knows that these cars come with little 4x10 speakers. Well, along with the really nice stereo that I picked up with this thing, it's also got Kenwoods all the way through it. And they're not the cheap, versions. These things are 160 watts peak and 120 RMS. So, that's not bad. However, we'll need a crossover. But something I wanted to show some of you guys. I just picked up these fans. They're just Hayden fans you can pick up at any Advance Auto. Turned around, and when you buy them, they're set up as pushers, not pullers. Well, I like having my fans set up as pullers. Just a preference. When you buy the Haydens or any fan from like AutoZone or so on, you have to actually take and swap the blade around. Most fans you'd think come as a puller, but these ones do not. And you gotta switch them. Took and started cleaning up the wiring on it, running it down all the way through. That's pretty much set to go. I think I'm going to run my vent line in right here for the steam. Maybe even right there, who knows. Just something easy. Took and ran my electric fan wire. Kind of worked out good. Down in here, where I recessed the wiring at, I was able to take and shoot my two electric fan lines right down through this grommet, or loom, I'm sorry, and run it all the way across and down. It comes right on out here, so very little's been being able to be seen. I'm going to put my O2 sensor on the opposite side here, facing straight down. Same thing on the other side, although the other side might have to go facing straight up because it's going to be closer to the frame. Everything's really starting to take place. Went to Tiger's Auto Salvage. When I bought the motor and all that stuff and wiring harness, the guy pulling the motor turned around and broke the starter. So they kind of headed me off a little bit and gave me a starter, to come with it. And turns out it's the wrong one, of course. It's got the stagger bolt pattern, and that's not going to work. I was kind of bummed out because I kind of wanted to crank the motor, make sure I was getting power to everything and so on. But I did hook up the parental switch and see if I was getting power through this, starter, trigger, and I was getting. I can hear the relays for the fuel pump kick on. No real, without having my OBD2 scanner or anything like that, no real way to kick the fans on right now. Don't have HP tuners, but gonna take and hook them fans up with a weather pack. Trying to make this motor, other than it being turbo and so on, I'm trying to make this motor look like it belonged in the car. And all it takes is a little bit of time. I'm getting a little anxious, but because I know by now I probably could have fired it up if I, would have had the V-bands in. But this fuel pressure regulator, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to turn around and drill a hole right here in the end of the master cylinder. Keep it pretty shallow, tap it and run it right there. That'll give me some distance from the log there, Just take and spin it around there. I just want to take and keep it clear of there. Not sure. I can always reverse the fuel rail and all that stuff and put everything over on the other side too. But no real big rush, just kind of taking a look around. I don't know if I showed you guys or not, but did take the seats out. And gonna nab the plastic Summit racing seats out of my Samurai for now. Got a little Suzuki Samurai, little mud vehicle for off-roading, and not using it right now. Seats are pretty cheap to buy. Put it in this, get this to where it can get to the dyno, and let Dr. Phil play with it and go from there. I did get my water pump issue solved. The 07 is not a straight fix. You can see I still had to take and work on it some, and I'm going to work on it a little bit more. Not a lot. It does clear a whole lot better than the other two water pumps, so I'll take it. The only one I could find in the state. I ended up finding it at Schramm's, usedcarpart.com to locate it. $100. Still a bit steep if you ask me. I mean, it's nothing more than a big chunk of metal, especially it being aluminum. Even in weight, it don't even cost that much. But wiring harness, really good. I mean, really pleased with it. I'd recommend Joe to anybody. And the only things he forgot was he forgot to take and pin out my torque converter, lock up, and he forgot to give me a check engine light wire. But other than that, everything was really, really good. I'm really pleased with it. He's really got some superb wiring skills, and can't really blame the man. He had a lot going on. He was moving from one building to another, and that takes a pretty good toll on people. And the excitement of being in, getting into a new building and everything else is, probably playing a big role in it. But I mean, I would have swore to God he almost set this harness up with my motor sitting at his place. But I got a couple extra blocks and 480E transmission. That's just a bare case. I'm going to shoot it his way, give him something to mock up on. He did a good job. Harness was actually worth more than what I paid. And someone like him, when they help out, they deserve to get their back patted a bit. He didn't complain, not one little bit. He decided to take and shoot me a little care package. If, hopefully it gets here soon. Been waiting on that for a little over a week now. But, turn around and, get that stuff all wired up. Been doing a lot of reading on on forums and all that stuff about these smart fire injectors. Figured I'd give something new a shot. I have seen them being used before, and they can be tuned in. They're cheap, they're old, they're Bosch redos, and pretty sure he's drilling them on out and doing something with the pintle valve. But not hearing a lot of good reviews on it, so I think before I go to Dr. Phil's place, for a tune, think I'll take and set on some money there for a minute and pick up some real nice Siemens Deca 80s or something like that. These ones here are 80. Don't know if I ever showed you guys my fuel pump. It's supposed to be a really good fuel pump. I'm not seeing much, in negative reviews. This is the Bosch 044. There are knockoffs and so on. You turn around and get these things, you always want to take and double check. You take a look if this thing will focus. It'll actually say somewhere on here, Czech Republic. If it says Czech Republic on it, you got a quality, fuel pump. You got the actual Bosch brand. And they'll adapt right over to AN. Not a problem. They are, huge fuel pumps. Running a filter before and a filter after. Just normal, Summit Racing twist lock hose, fuel hose. Dash 8 feeding it. Dash 6 return. Later on, I'll probably, consider upgrading to dash, 8 return also, and that's supposed to help your flow and raise your power up a bit. But the biggest thing I'm going to worry about right now is just getting a second fuel pump in there and running off my Hobbs switch. Got this little manifold. Going to come in handy. Got the Hobbs switch here. Got many other ports. Soon the fun part of running all the vacuum lines will come into play. Don't know which way I'm going to go with it. There's a couple of ways I understand you can go on these, and I've done a couple. Never found one that I really liked. So it'll be probably just a crap shot, honestly. Just whatever I feel like putting on. You can do the check, the check valve to where you can't take and put boost into the crankcase, or you can just take it right on out and run it into the intake portion of your turbo, and there's just all kinds of things that people are coming up with. I've always said whatever works best for you. I haven't really seen many fail too awful much. I'm sure a lot of people have their opinions in that, but budget's a budget. Everyone has their own version of a budget. Guy making $300K a year, his budget's probably sitting right around $30,000 on the motor alone. And that's all well and great, but my budget's sitting a lot lower than that. But I'll tell you what, I love seeing those cars with the guys with the $30,000 motors. Other than that, guys, there ain't really much more to take and get, show you. I'm hoping to take and start here. I'm waiting on some parts yet. Mandrel, or Columbia Mandrel bends, waiting on the downpipe and all that stuff, so when I start it and I'm not blowing soot all over the engine compartment. Of course, I'm waiting on the V-bands. I've picked up a few things, other than that. Won't be long, she'll be coming back on out, clean it, get it all cleaned on up and painted up, which the motor's not far from it. And I still got to install the harmonic balancer. Honestly, I'm holding out for an LS6 cam. Greg already has me hooked on up with the springs. So I just got to get on out there and visit him. But if I can get that LS6 cam, I'll be a happy guy. Don't seem to be easy to find. I've been all over LS1 Tech and all these other forums, and even here at Michigan F-Body, and not finding anything anywhere. So a lot of people are, for some reason, trying to snag $250 out of them on eBay, but I'm not going to pay that much. I'll go with the factory and just upgrade the LS6 springs just for the boost, and the spring pressure, and that's it. Decided I'm going to probably just go one or two ways. I was going to two-tone it. I've thought heavy, I like the idea of like the ultimate Grand National type thing. Figure paint it all black, and maybe pull out my airbrush and airbrush something like that, the ultimate Grand National or whatever. Guess that's kind of the reason why I'm being a stickler about getting it all painted. Today when I was at the junkyard, I did find an HVAC box that was just heat, but of course people in junkyards don't pay attention to what they're doing. They break whatever they want to get to their parts. That, and the guys that work there, they just start yanking and banging on stuff. So it was busted up. But I can pick up the whole kit for right around $300. Other than that, guys, it's looking to be probably almost 2 o'clock a.m. and I'm pretty wore out. Oh, actually, it's 3 a.m. 3:11. Still got a ton of parts to go through. My organized, chaotic mess. Got intake gaskets, brand new ones. Don't want no boost leaks. Probably end up with some anyway. Got the TR6 plugs. Got the new timing cover gasket. I did go through and replace almost every gasket in this motor. Turbo feed line. Just a whole bunch of stuff still yet to go. Still got to mount the shifter. Started figuring out some of the cold side while I got bored and decided to kick back, and didn't really kick back. You know how that goes. Couldn't let myself just sit there and rest for some reason. Going to be trying to locate some different door panels. Not much into the luxury look on a car like this. But as you can tell, my phone's dying. Can't even get a light no more. So I'm going to let you guys go, and don't be afraid to comment or ask questions or whatever. Oh, yeah, by the way, ended up making me a little to-do list. Haven't really knocked much off from it yet. I need to, but I'll probably start on that tomorrow. Kind of got started late. But starting, measuring for drive shaft. Fenton Machine Shop's going to get me all set up on that. Build passenger side manifold, weld on V-bands, install seats, install shifter, install both O2 bungs, tighten engine mount, frame pads. Just got to take and get underneath there. They're not fun on this car at all. Wire up, the wiring harness, run transmission lines, plumb oil for turbo, just typical stuff. You guys that have played with turbos before know. Went out, picked up 25 foot of 3/8 training line and everything to go with it. So that's about where I sit. Don't know where to go from. No, I know where to go from here, but when I get the motor out, not sure if I'm going to take and remove the stuff on the firewall and, clean up the engine compartment a bit, or how I'm going to go about it. Don't want to turn it into the Camaro and just get overdone, or go too deep into it and not be able to race or play or just drive. Later on down the road, I can always use that as just a project for a month or whatever. Yank the motor on out, clean up the firewall, and go from there. But you guys have a good one. I'm going to let you go for the final time. Later.